We always look forward to Dr. Joe coming on in the studio. Dr. Joe Congeni from Akron Children's Hospital with us this morning. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, Ray.
How are you?
Good, really
Busy
good.
week for you. All the
yeah.
fall sports start, what, tomorrow?
Ray, it's showtime, man. So showtime for the kids and showtime for the sports medicine teams.
What do you do with the sports medicine teams? And then I'll let you get into what you want.
Yeah.
What do you guys do to prepare for tomorrow?
I mean, this is what the last couple of weeks on your show I've talked about. Get ready for if it's a neck injury, how do you immobilize the neck? How are you ready if it's a heat problem to get a kid? How about the heart, getting your AED ready? And there's a thing called the Emergency Action Plan. And we have everybody by the 1st of August. You got to have your Emergency Action Plan ready. So the sports medicine team, made up of mainly the certified athletic trainers at the schools. We're working together with 30 high schools right now. Last night we had our dinner for the University of Akron, so University of Akron's going through the same thing. We had a big powwow last week with the City of Akron paramedics, so that handoff in those emergent situations is done smoothly, so they're on the same page as us. And I'm speaking at Stowe's paramedics next week, so we always want to be in. So that's kind of our preseason, but tomorrow is showtime. And the trainers that are hanging around our office are almost like the athletes. They're almost like pawing at the ground. They're so excited to get back out there because they know there's a lot going on. They get thrown into the fire. It's not just football. Then how do you make sure that the soccer kids are ready? And oh my gosh, up at the school indoor, there's the volleyball kids and the runners, and where are they at? And everybody gets going tomorrow. August 1st is a big time. Basically, it's a 14-week season. And so it's 3 or 4 weeks of preseason and scrimmaging and getting your team ready, and then 10-week season for all those teams I just talked about, the fall athletes. And the big deal, Ray, I think we've talked about this before on the show, is about 40% of injuries occur in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season. So it's really a busy time for us because a lot of those kids then come in. There's a lot of theories as to why so much of injury is front-loaded in the sports medicine world. Number one, a lot of kids have injuries from last year they never fully rehabilitated, or weak spots that they had that they never really took care of. Number two, the body sometimes just isn't ready for the rigors of the practice. That's a theory that's out there about why. But no question, August is big for us. And then when kids and the medical team says, hey, we want to know, we got to get you in to see the doc, they want to know 2 things from us. Number one, return to play. And so after we've assessed the injury and maybe get an x-ray, and maybe in some more extreme cases, even advanced imaging like an MRI might be needed in some of these cases. After we do that, we speak to them, okay, return to play. 4 to 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. You're going to miss the season, going to miss half a season. Okay, those are the things we don't like to have to tell a kid, but what comes to us is really being able to help kids and coaching staffs know about the injuries and what to do. So 40% of the injuries will be coming in the next few weeks. Really, really showtime. The other thing they want from us is how can we quickly rehab? How can we get these things better to get back as quickly as we can? I call that the full court press. So after we make the diagnosis of what the injury is, what's the quickest way to get back? And that's where we sometimes use the physical therapists, the sports therapists on our team, because they know how to jump on these things 3 times a week for 2 weeks to really get these kids turned around with for instance, an ankle sprain like the A.J. Green thing. Told to be a very bad ankle sprain, though. I mean, he was carted off on the meat wagon and complete tear, and some people whispering it could be even longer than that. So just ankle sprain could be 2 weeks. It could be 10 days. It could be 6 to 8 weeks like A.J. Green. And if he's a high school player, he's going to miss more than half the season. So all those exciting things are going on for the sports medicine team starting tomorrow. So it is showtime.
And you've been saving your pickle juice all summer, haven't you?
Oh, my gosh, absolutely. So where are those temps? No, I'm really happy looking ahead at the temps. It looks like we got rid of our very worst of the heat 2 weeks ago. Although it'll be hot for the kids and whatever, we're ready for it, I think. I think all of our athletic trainers and our sports medicine teams are ready for that heat.
And the coaches and everyone much smarter than they were 20, 25 years ago. I mentioned to you Monday at our Gridiron Gathering, talking to all those football coaches, many of them pushing the practices into later in the afternoon instead of the heat of the day.
Yeah, it's really kind of cool to see because there's a strategy to how to coach August also. And so a lot of these coaches are using science and scientific, and they're meeting with us or asking us questions on the sports medicine team so that they can plan and be strategic about the way to keep their kids healthy. And that's really good to see rather than after the fact, oh my gosh, now I got 5 kids down already and I don't have big numbers to begin with. What am I going to do about that? I love to see the strategy. And like you mentioned, picking the right time of day and picking the right amount and getting kids ready and building them up for it. All those things are really good things.
Okay, Joe, what else did you want to bring up this morning?
Just also, I have a busy week with everybody jumping on in the high school, but also heading over to the Hall of Fame. And I'll be able to give you guys an update. We were just talking about that. We have the hometown huddle, the update on the Hall of Fame Friday morning with David Baker in the group, and it looks like it's jumping back on track, and it's a project that you and I talked about could be so vital for a shot in the arm for Northeast Ohio and the Canton area and everything. And so from what I hear that he's going to talk about through a little bit of pre-advanced discussion of this meeting is that a lot of it's back on track. Some of it had to be changed, some of the the different phases of what the building project, but the water park is looking good. More fields for the kids, so more kids from the outside can come in. The main center that we're going to be involved in is the Center of Excellence, and so we're going to be doing some of our research. We're hoping to be doing some of our research down there and getting some of the answers to the questions about youth sports too. And the Hall of Fame would be just a great venue for us to do that. So all that we'll get an update on that on Friday morning. Update about the Hall from David Baker, and I can talk a little bit more about that in the next week.
Joe, one question before I let you go is, obviously a lot of parents listening to us, and many of them have students involved in athletics starting tomorrow with their practices on August 1st. Obviously keeping the kids hydrated after those tough practices. Any other advice you'd like to give the parents here this morning?
Yeah, I think getting on these injuries sooner instead of later. Many of them, and this is hard to understand, are kind of cumulative, so they kind of build on themselves. And rather than waiting until it's week 5 or 6 of the preseason, or waiting a longer period of time, I think you can pretty much tell in that 3 to 7 day mark, and we can do a lot better with injuries when we get them early instead of late. So instead of waiting for a long time, listen to what your kids are saying. Also, making sure look at your kids and make sure there's not scrapes and cuts and other things that could go on to be in bad infections. Talk to your kids, kind of see how they're feeling after they get through with a lot of these things. Even heat illness that we talk about is kind of a cumulative thing. So making sure that with your kids coming home that they are hydrating on a regular basis so they're not losing 2% of dehydration every day, and by the end of the week they're 8% dehydrated or something. And then, of course, that insidious onset of concussion. Sometimes it doesn't show itself right off the bat, and if your kid's not acting normal, particularly in the contact sports, make sure that you get them looked at and evaluated by somebody who knows about concussions.
Great stuff, Joe. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, Ray. Have a great week.
You too. Dr. Joe Congeni, Akron Children's Hospital.